Oops. Okay, so we're live. Let me get rid of my face. There you go. All right, let's play my intro and then I'll be right back. All right, so let's do this. And put that up. Add a little bit of music here. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, 17th of June, 2023. Let's do night driving. And we're going to go over some of the news stories of today. So let's go here, because this is let's do this. So bond set at $20 million for father charged with killing his 3 young sons. So let's do that.
Mr. DeCalvi, Mr. Guest, on behalf of the state of Ohio. Mr. Calmas Bond.
I hate my computer. I just do. All right, so this guy here could be a real just piece of crap.
Go ahead, sir. As Bond, Your Honor, he is 32 years old. Married, his employee. He indicates that his relatives, Gloria Norman,
and of course, it's really bad audio.
This time, Your Honor, we will submit to the court that the bond of $75,000 for a condition.
Let's get out of here. And do this one. That's better. We have sound. That's good news. 20 million bond set for man accused of killing his 3 sons. Why would you do that? Look at this.
Of these 3 young Claremont County boys. Investigators say their father has admitted to shooting and killing all 3 in cold blood. Their ages are 7, 4, and 3. We do have team coverage for you on this tragic situation. We start with WCPO 9 News reporter Sean Delancey, who is in New Richmond, where a community event is being held for the 3 children who lost their lives. Sean?
Yeah, Tanya, Pastor Robert Wooten just opened the doors here at Connection Point Church in New Richmond for anybody and everybody impacted by this unspeakable tragedy. He says when 3 little boys are senselessly gunned down, people need to be there for one another. Pastor Wooten says that this is a very loose event. There's no real plan or agenda to go by. It's just an open space for people to be together, talk through their grief, pray, whatever you need to help process what few can grapple with, the death of children. His team is right here, right now, to help guide that process. Wooten says whether you knew this family or not, if you're hurting, you are welcome here tonight.
You know, in a small community, everybody feels the pain. Everybody feels the struggle. Everybody feels the emotion. And I think the last night before I went to bed, I told my wife, I said, we got to do something. And it just brought me to the point where we can't just sit by idly and just, we have to act and do something.
Now, Connection Point Church here in New Richmond along Columbia Street will be open tonight as long as is necessary. So if you feel the need to be around others that can help you out, you're welcome to come on down. In New Richmond, I'm Sean Delancey, WCPO 9 News.
All right, Sean, thanks so much. Folks, this is Chad Dorman, the boy's father. He was arrested without incident yesterday. We got body camera video just hours ago showing the moment he was taken into custody. I want you to watch it.
Stand up now! Stand up! Stand up! Go!
Okay, so I believe this is in Richmond, New Richmond, Ohio. And this video here may be a little bit graphic.
Get your hands up here. It's in there.
You see there, Dorman did not resist once law enforcement got to the scene. He was sitting on the front porch with that rifle nearby and had little to say as he was taken to the cruiser. Claremont County prosecutors say Dorman admitted that he executed his 3 boys one by one. That evidence was presented today at Dorman's bond hearing. I-Team reporter Craig Cheatham has more on the evidence presented in court.
In court, Assistant Prosecutor David Gast said Dorman admitted to shooting and killing his 3 sons. Gast described the crimes as, quote, one of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see.
Chad Dorman entered the courtroom wearing what one officer called a suicide vest. It was the day after prosecutors say he confessed to shooting and killing his 3 boys.
In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys and he executed them in his own home with a rifle.
What the hell? Oh my God.
Assistant Prosecutor David Gast said Dorman told police that one of his boys ran to a nearby field, but Dorman said he got the boy, dragged him back to the property, and killed him. Gast said Dorman also shot his wife in the hand when she grabbed the gun, attempting to save her children.
We can't name a person that poses a greater threat to the community.
The judge granted the prosecution's request for a $20 million bond.
The case now goes to a grand jury. A pretrial hearing is scheduled for June 26th. In Batavia, Craig Cheatham, WCPO 9 News.
A memorial, by the way, is growing for those 3 little boys tonight. People are placing stuffed animals. You can see that right here outside of their home. WCPO 9 News reporter Valerie Lyons is live now. So Valerie, you have been speaking with several people today, including a New Richmond girl who started a GoFundMe for their funerals.
Yeah, Tanya, Hazel Warren is the friend of the boy's older sister. She says she hasn't slept. She's been crying. She's heartbroken. When she heard what happened, she tells me all she wanted to do was help.
It just really hurts more to know them and what happened.
It's difficult for Hazel Warren to find the words. Understandable when what happened was unimaginable.
They were definitely like the cutest I've ever seen. They were all just like a little pack.
3 little boys, just 3, 4, and 7, shot and killed in their front yard. Their own father, 32-year-old Chad Dorman, accused of pulling the trigger. Warren says it didn't take long for her to launch a fundraiser for the rest of the family, her best friend and her mother, who must now find a way to move on.
Hope that everything will be like okay for them.
We're told the mother was shot in the hand as she tried desperately to stop Dorman from shooting her sons, and that their sister ran down the street yelling for help. They weren't in court Friday morning when Dorman faced a judge, appearing to break down at one point as prosecutors laid out the grisly details.
I didn't notice him. I didn't look at him. I think he's a coward, and that was probably an act. If you want to make me guess, that's an act.
An hour before, New Richmond School Superintendent Tracy Miller shared his heartbreak as grief counselors rallied behind a community left shattered.
This impacts everybody, but when everybody's impacted, everybody's going to pull together and make sure that we get to the other side of this mountain.
Hours later, a memorial grew in honor of the little boys.
It's just amazing how, one day, it's just, I can't comprehend this stuff. It's just, Lord.
Teddy bears left on the edge of the driveway. a glimmer of comfort and hope.
They are all so sweet and so cute.
A reminder of 3 little lives lost.
Their bedtime was like 8 o'clock, and they would all come in and like individually.
Look how cute these kids are. My God. Why?
They'd all tell me good night.
Little teddy bears themselves, Tanya. Now, we will have a link to Hazel Warren's GoFundMe on our website. There are also a few others floating around out there. We'll have links to those as well. And just a reminder, right here in the Claremont County Jail sits 32-year-old Chad Dorman, confessed, prosecutors say, to shooting and killing his 3 young sons.
Yeah, that'll probably change. They always confess, and then they recant once they get defense attorneys. And it's just...
yesterday. For now, live outside the Claremont County Jail, Valerie Lyons, WCPO 9 News.
Valerie, sometimes it's just overwhelming to think about this story.
You think? All right, so let's get out of here. Do another one on this here. This is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
3 children have died after a shooting in Claremont County. Their father just arrested and charged with aggravated murder. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Stephen Albritton.
And I'm Ashley Kirkland. All of the victims under the age of 8 years old. And tonight, their father is charged with their murders. We have live team coverage on this breaking story from the hospital to the crime scene. And we begin with WLWT News 5's Jatera McGee. Jatera.
Yeah, Ashley, this is one of those days that just sticks with you, with the witnesses and neighbors, with the family members who survived this horrific day, and also with the first responders who tried to save those 3 boys but weren't able to do so. Tonight, one of the helpers is sharing what she saw, and only with us.
I know that she witnessed something horrific.
A grim day in Claremont County that started around 4:15 when a woman called 911 saying her babies had been shot. Around the same time, Misty Hockey was driving to Kroger and saw a teen girl running for help.
She was running with a little black lab and she was screaming, "Call 911, call 911." She says, "My stepfather is shooting everyone in my household."
Hockey called 911 as police rushed to the scene on Laurel Lindell Road.
I wanted to get her in the car, but she just refused to leave her family. And that just says testament of how much she loved them.
Responding officers found 4 people shot outside the home. Life-saving measures were unsuccessful on 3 young boys, brothers, aged 3, 4, and 7. Their mother, a 34-year-old woman, was shot in the hand and taken to UC Medical Center. Investigators say the boy's 32-year-old father was sitting on a step outside the home and was detained by police and is being interviewed by detectives. As for the bystander who alerted police,
if I was just cruising down with the radio, blasting, I could have missed it all. Just everyone be vigilant. That's all I can say. I was vigilant today.
And thankfully she was. Breaking just minutes ago, Chad Dorman, the father of the 3 boys who were killed, has now been booked in jail and is charged. He's facing 3 counts of aggravated murder. He will be arraigned first thing in the morning at 10 a.m. here in Claremont County. We're live in Claremont County tonight. Jatera McGee, WLWT News 5.
Jatera, we were saying that this was a tragic situation. We just didn't know yet how tragic it is. Now, did we hear from the sheriff or any investigators on camera? Can we expect to hear from them in the morning, maybe?
We did not hear from them today, Ashley. We were expecting that, hoping to hear maybe later tonight as the investigation got to a better point. But it is a little bit unusual that, given the magnitude of what unfolded, to not hear from investigators in that manner. But I did reach out to the chief deputy and asked if we could hear from them tomorrow. He said at this point, a press conference has not been scheduled.
All right, Jatira McGee leading our team coverage tonight there in Claremont County.
Oh my God,
And we
it's
continue our
awful. All right, so that's done with that. So let's go. Next thing we're going to do is get rid of that. Just a why, let's go. I want to show you this here because this is pretty horrible too. I tracked this yesterday, so go here. So this is what happened yesterday. Southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, the storms that roll through here. So let's check this out. Complete other, just destruction here.
Arlington, Texas, survey the destruction and mourn lives lost from a catastrophic tornado. 31 million people in the south and southern plains remain on alert for the risk of more severe weather going into the weekend. 3 people died in Perrington, including an 11-year-old.
That's what you don't want to see right there. That is a, you can already see some sort of a debris field here. So.
Child. The Panhandle town struck by one of at least 10 reported tornadoes across 5 states yesterday. All day, search teams have been scouring shattered homes in search of other potential victims. Since Wednesday, there have been over 20 reported tornadoes from Texas to Georgia. 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts recorded in Escambia County, Alabama, while over a foot of rain has portions of northwest Florida under a flash flood emergency, and a separate storm system spawning violent weather in the east this evening. Let's get details from Sam Brock. Sam, good evening.
Lester, good evening. With all this destruction around me, the governor of Texas has issued a disaster declaration for this community where there are more than 100 homes, as you mentioned, that have been.
Look at this. You can see how these things, there's damage, and then over here, nothing. That's when they touch down, they don't have any particular way they go. They just kind of, whirl around and then just cause massive destruction to wherever the velocity of the winds are. They were moving pretty quick yesterday, though, so that kind of a saving grace.
Damaged. About half of those, Lester, are trailers, exposing the vulnerabilities of smaller cities. The torture of tornadoes came to Perryton, Texas, first at the site of funnel clouds. Into Perryton, Texas.
Holy cow. Wow.
First with the sight of funnel clouds touching down, unleashing fury.
That's bad news right there. That is bad news. Shelf cloud here. Look at that.
Unleashing fury. Then the devastating reality for a community trying to process the unthinkable.
It's like a nightmare. It's something you see on TV, but you never thought you'd live in it.
The violent night leading to 3 confirmed fatalities, an 11-year-old boy trapped in a trailer, and 2 women in their 60s, Cindy Bransgrave and Becky Randall. Stephen Wade in shock.
When you found out she was one of the 3 victims, what did you think?
No, it's no words. It's heartbreaking.
Such is the state of a.
Sometimes reporters ask the dumbest questions. Like, good Lord. Like, look at that. This over here is not good either.
City with just 8,000 people who are now reconciling 100 damaged or destroyed homes, 30 businesses battered, and a downtown that bears no resemblance to its former self.
The tornado so powerful, it managed to shear a wall of cinder block right off the side of this structure, while at the same time ripping the roof right off of this building. And this is just one block of Main Street.
The Texas Task Force spent hours searching the rubble with canines, looking for signs of life or victims. One person remained missing, though, with at least 75 injured. In one of the hardest hit areas, this trailer park development.
What's left at this point for your dad, for your father?
Just the piece.
The problem with tornadoes is the tornado winds and stuff like that, but also flying debris. You have flying debris coming at you with 80, 90, 120 miles an hour. So even like a roof shingle coming at you at 120 miles an hour will pretty much take your face off.
Just the pieces.
Patty Videa says it's a miracle her father-in-law is alive.
He's okay.
He held onto a door that was torn off, then clung for life to a patio rail attached to this now frameless house.
And the only thing he could think of was to get beneath the patio, the metal patio frame that was here, and he just clung on.
Despite injuries to his head and foot, Ruben survived, and authorities realized he was the missing person they'd been searching for. A glimmer of good news for a region gutted by intense heat and unending storms. With Florida the latest victim. Late Thursday, more than a foot of rain pounding the panhandle and killing one when a tree crashed into a home. And this dramatic video showing a Florida deputy diving into the floodwaters to rescue a stranded motorist caught in rapidly rising water. Relentless weather reinforcing for many here the importance of community.
We've seen everyone come together, and that's all I've seen since this happened, and I'm very thankful for that.
Sam Brock, NBC News, Perryton, Texas.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
That's the end of that. So that happened yesterday. So let's play this one here. Okay, so let's get out of there and present this here.
Today we've been reporting that violent tornado that left a trail of damage in the town of Perryton, Texas earlier this evening. Joining us now by phone is Perryton resident Sabrina Devers. Sabrina.
Let's see if I can pull that up because I want to know what this is. So this is up northern. So this must have happened after I was following it, because I was following one down towards the southern part. Now let's see this now. Sorry, my computer's really slow. So it's right in here. Let's see if I can. Lawton was the other one that I was following down here, but there was some. They just kind of cruised right through in this general area here, but this is where this one was in Perryton. But there was another one here in Lawton, I thought. So let's go back to this.
It's just a very difficult day. Can you kind of unfold what you saw and the damage that you had to your property and the destruction that you've seen?
Well, when it started hitting, there were severe winds coming straight from the west, and we were getting golf ball size hail, and then it quickly escalated into being softball size. And then as it was going over the top of us, then it came back from the east, and the winds were coming straight back east with the softball size hail.
Yeah, so they're right in that.
You could see, it just looked like a bad storm.
They're right in Tornado Alley. So that's
But you could start seeing the tornado, and we are located
right there,
3 miles north of.
Right to the ridge. Absolutely.
Perryton, and we saw the tornado hitting, but had no idea the devastation. The town is.
There's a debris field right here, just swirling around. That's what I'm talking about. Like you get a a 2x4 in the face coming at you, 90 miles an hour, the swirling wind, it's
been hit
going to
so
leave a
hard.
mark.
When we were videoing the tornado, it stayed on the ground for a long time, for several minutes, and it just seemed like it was getting, the top of it was getting bigger. But when it kind of cleared off, we were going to go check on our store in town. The devastation was unbelievable. It took a tanker truck and threw it into a pasture. It had all of the lines were knocked down. The buildings, we're an oil field and ranching community, and the buildings were just flattened. And the debris, it took one of the gas companies, and the tanks, the big, huge holding tanks were out in the pastures, and you couldn't really tell. As I drove by an RV area, you could hear the alarms going off of the RVs, and they were just flattened. It just looked like a bomb had gone off.
We're looking at some of your videos, Sabrina, and I believe this is you driving back into the town.
Look at that.
And I believe this would be the more industrial area that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, is this where you said that your business is?
No, we are a ranch just north of town, and when we got hit, it wasn't devastating like the town. It looked like we were going to be hit, and that's what the warnings were, that we were fixing to be hit, and it actually moved farther to the south of us and hit Perryton itself, and it took out several of the businesses. The parts on my video are from the east side of Perryton, but the west side had the trailer parks and residential areas that are just, the mobile homes are gone, and severe devastation.
Yeah,
they're mobilizing there to try to kind of get they've got several fire departments. All of the communities come around. They started bringing in ambulances and the fire departments, and they are mobilizing at the expo center to start the cleanup process and finding things.
Yeah, we've been talking with a few people that are there, talking about how everybody's already starting to clean up and how quickly this was. Sabrina, do you have family or friends in here in this obvious town that you've been able to contact and make sure they're doing okay?
Yes, when we went to town, one of our people that worked for us missed the tornado by less than a block and a half. It literally took out buildings right next to his house and shop, and didn't touch his, thank goodness. But so many people have been devastated there.
When you have so many people that lost their homes, everything they
I'll take a look at a couple of maps, but I think right now it's pretty much, it's raining up here. We're supposed to get more stuff today, so.
they've worked for, it has been obliterated, and I don't know if you've been able to get any updates. Our hope is that everybody's okay and was able to make it out of this tornado with not just themselves but their loved ones fully intact, and we're going to keep, unfortunately we got to move on, Sabrina, but I do appreciate you taking the time. I'd love to check back in with you, and we'll stay on top of what happened in Perryton, sending you all of our thoughts and prayers as this is just truly heartbreaking to see what happened in Texas today.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page.
All right, let's get out of here. Actually, I probably wanted to see that. Oh, well. Okay, so I'm going to share this because this is important. So this is a classic tornado alley here, and it basically can stretch further than that, but Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, parts of South Dakota, this is basically where every convergence happens here. You got, westerlies coming down, you got fronts coming down, you got the Gulf of Mexico down here feeding in the moisture, so that's why they call it Tornado Alley. But tornadoes go, oops, don't want to do that. We've had tornadoes up in New England too, just western Connecticut. not too much here. And it's really rare to see any tornadoes out west. But it's not like they can't happen. It's just, the Gulf of Mexico here is really the proponent of the moisture. So that's where you're going to find that. All right, what else did I want to do? This is 10 hours ago, so let's do this here. I knew they were going to be pretty bad. That's why
damage left behind. Michael Sandlin and Maya May are in Point Place tonight. They spent the day talking to neighbors there. And John Monk is in Ottawa County looking at the damage after a tornado touched down there. We begin first with Michael Sandlin. Michael, talk to me about the extent of the damage you've seen in that part of the town.
Well, Dan, while the Lucas County Auditor's Office still hasn't priced out the full extent of the damage here, I visited individual homes in the area that local tree companies have already said will cost $50,000 just in tree repair. Now, it's something that dozens, if not hundreds of residents in the area have suffered similar damage, with crushed cars, ripped siding, and downed tree limbs a common sight here. Homes, storefronts, nothing was spared from the funnel cloud. People that were at home at the time tell me it started with the sky turning an eerie blue-green and then a sound similar to a train. Then the strong winds kicked in and homes were battered with debris. I spoke to one family who watched some of that debris make its way inside while they were ducking for safety.
Had branches hitting the top of the roof and multiple times. And next thing we knew, it shot through the ceiling in the kitchen, came down and shot across the floor. And that was, quite the ordeal.
Now, between calls to insurance companies, people in this area are teaming up together to clean up broken glass and use chainsaws to tear apart those broken tree limbs. But they also tell me that power is still out in this area, expecting it to come back within the next 24 to 48 hours. Reporting at Point Place, Michael Sandlin for WTOL.
So this is in Northwest Ohio.
Michael, thank you. And Maya May continues our team coverage from Point Place. Maya, a lot of people are out there cleaning their own neighborhoods and helping each other. What's been their reaction today?
Well, after the fear, many of the people I've spoken to decided to jump in and help out their neighbors. Neighbors are going door to door to make everyone here feel safe. The storm took down power lines, trees, rooftops, and the rooftop of a ProMedica building close by Riverbend Apartments. People living there explained to us what it was like. Take a listen.
I was really concerned about the tenants because I was thinking when I went out in the hallway, I was going to look up and everything was going to be gone, but thank God it wasn't. I was more worried about everybody around here. You know, we were going door to door to make sure everybody was all right. Nobody was cut. It was hectic.
And as you can see right behind me, this bridge is what they have been walking back and forth from all day to get resources like from this Rite Aid we're right next to. They say they don't have the resources right now, but they're looking to get more and help others in the future. For now, I'm Maya May in Point Place for WTOL 11.
Our team of meteorologists also just confirmed a tornado did touch down in Oak Harbor. The National Weather Service just revealing that was an EF2. And you're seeing brand new video from our photojournalists on the scene in the rural southern part of the community. You can see lots of destruction there. Homes, barns, farming equipment destroyed on Hetrick and Woodrick Road and State Route 19 at Bloom Road. And as that storm moved east, it's likely now we have confirmed since this was last updated, another tornado did touch down in Ottawa County. And that is where John Monk spent the day checking in with people cleaning up their properties there. John.
A tornado will scare the living crap out of you. Period.
Take us through some of the damage you're seeing.
Yeah, Melissa, it's actually the damage is not very widespread. It's mostly contained between
State Route 19 and Mud Creek Road. And as you can see behind me, it looks like the path of this tornado went right along Hetrick Road, damaging about a dozen homes. Properties on the south side of the road seem to have taken the most damage initially, but then if you track the damage west to east, it looks like it moved across to the north side of the road after going past Woodrick Road. Now, according to Ottawa County EMA Director Fred Peterson, there were no reported injuries from this tornado touching down in this portion of the county, which is very fortunate because many of the residents here said they were under the impression the strongest area of the storm system was actually up north along the Lake Erie shore.
Paid attention. I looked outside. I looked around, and the winds weren't quite right. And so I grabbed the dog, and we went downstairs. My husband was upstairs, and he heard the train whistle and came running downstairs.
And we actually spoke to another family further down the street who had their entire dairy barn obliterated, and they took all night and all day to track down all 300 of their dairy cows. Hear from their family members coming up at 5:30. But for now, reporting live from Ottawa County, I'm John Monk, WTOL 11.
All right, let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers now.
Chris, we mentioned top of the show, the National Weather Service confirmed an EF2, multiple
Yeah. That's a bad sign right there.
tornadoes in the area. What else can you tell us about that?
We're going to tell you a lot about this. And of course, what the EF scale is. Many people have lots of questions on what it is. It's a measure of strength for the tornadoes, and we've had multiple confirmed tornadoes. So we'll get right into the details of this and the information that we do have. Confirmed tornadoes now up to 3. And EF1, which was near Detroit Beach, that one was the first of the tornadoes to occur. Then after that, 2 EF2 tornadoes.
I wish they would get rid of this whole. I mean, it had its place. Same with the hurricanes. You know, the classifications of hurricanes. But, you know, the problem is, you know, people live and die by these, you know, EF1, EF2. And yes, they do get stronger, you know, 3, 4. But, you know, I think just calling it a tornado is good enough. You know, you just need to plan accordingly. I mean, to go 1 through 5 scale is, you know, if it's an EF5, you really have no chance. You're probably better off underground or just leaving the area. I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, what are you supposed to do? So they should just say tornado, period. It was a tornado. It's going to be really bad no matter where you are in this spectrum.
Of course, the one in Point Place, a high-end EF2 with winds up to 130 miles per hour. And at one point, the tornado was about 3 football fields wide, about 300 yards. And EF2 as well, that was just confirmed moments ago. That one near Oak Harbor, that one also a high-end EF2, which had winds up to about 130 miles per hour. Now, I fully suspect we may get a confirmation of another tornado out towards Sandusky County, northeastern Sandusky County. And I'm highly confident that when the survey is done, we will have confirmation of another tornado that was down there toward parts of Huron County. So lots of activity that occurred. Let me rewind the pictures. This was Doppler radar yesterday evening.
See, it's strange how they let's see how this rotates.
As that strong supercell.
It looks like it's picking up a little steam over the water here.
Storm came across the area, Point Place, right along our lakeshore, interacting with a lake boundary. In fact, I could get a little bit closer to this, and one particular supercell storm that did produce that tornado, an EF2 tornado here in Point Place. What does that mean? We're going to do something that you've never seen before here. We're going to bring a tornado here into the studio. What does an EF scale actually mean? So starts with an EF0. That's the lowest end of the tornado spectrum. Winds would be less than 85 miles per hour. When we get to an EF1 strength.
So I wonder if it formed some sort of a water spout over the lake there, and then
damage can be considerable. It can knock down power poles, knock down tree limbs. Things get blown over. When we get to an EF2, this is when damage becomes more severe. And this is when we see the transformers that will topple over, perhaps windows are blown out, and even roofs begin to lift off at this point. And then once we get to an EF3 strength, that is when that damage really gets severe. Roofs are blown off. And of course, that scale continues to go up beyond this. We're fortunate we didn't see anything beyond EF2 because that scale goes up to an EF4 strength and even even beyond that, where the damage can become catastrophic with the strongest tornado. Yeah, an EF5 that can loft cars, blow houses away, and send objects absolutely flying. So that is the EF scale, the breakdown of what we saw across the area and what we could have experienced. As it stands now, EF2 strength was the strongest tornado that we saw. Melissa, Dan, send it back over to you.
All right, great visual there, Chris. Thanks. Well, thousands of families and businesses are without power tonight. This is a look at the First Energy outage map as it stands right now. More than 5,000 people are without power in the Toledo metro area and in Point Place. Fewer than 100 in Sylvania and Oregon. According to the website, it is unclear when power is expected to come back on. There's also a travel advisory right now on the Ohio Turnpike because of last
Okay,
night's
so this
severe
was
weather.
Thursday, so this is, you don't need to know what happened Thursday. It's not going to happen again. So let's get out of here. I want to go to this story here because this is just, I mean, how does this happen? So this is shifting gears here a little bit. Let's do this. All right. So apparently somebody got mauled by a bear in Arizona. So let's take a look at this.
Arizona, getting an update here from officials on a deadly bear attack. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
I think I'd rather be killed in a tornado than getting killed by a bear. It's just like, I mean, if I'm going to go...
911 calls, matter of fact, multiple 911 calls about a man being mauled by a bear up here in the Groom Creek area. YCSO deputies and Prescott PD
Let's, I'll let that play. Hold on a second.
responded, and when they arrived on scene, they did in fact find a man who has now been identified as 66-year-old Stephen Jackson from Tucson as having been deceased, and also the bear that attacked him is also deceased. What we have found thus far is that we believe that this was an unprovoked bear attack by this bear for a gentleman who was up here building a cabin, and he was in his campsite. He's been there for a while. This was not unusual for him to be sitting there. In the meantime, Game and Fish was called. And so what I'm going to do on the details of what we know so far from witness statements and others is turn it over to Sheriff Rhodes, and then Game and Fish will be able to answer some questions about the bear and their investigation as well. So any questions before that? Your name? KRISTIN GREENE.
So let's do the, hold on a second. I'm going to go here. And that's just horrible. Unprovoked. I mean, who the hell is going to go out and provoke a bear? I mean, I'm not doing it. Kind of goes without saying. Like, all right, so yeah, it's about, I don't know, due north of Phoenix, pretty much. Potato patch. That's cool. Yeah, so that's where it happened. Said don't go there. Well, the bears, I think they got rid of the bear, so yeah. What I hate about StreamYard. Yeah. Okay, so it's a deadly bear attack right here.
V or PH. I believe it's a V, but I'll have to check for that. I'll check that for sure. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Rhodes.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for waiting patiently. This is a very unique situation, and I just want to lead off by saying we're so very saddened by the loss of Mr. Jackson in this way. This is a very tragic situation, and as As Ms. Green stated earlier, we did receive YCSO deputies, Prescott Police Department.
I mean, we had a little black bear out here last week. The bear sightings right now in New Hampshire are pretty frequent, and we were like, "Oh, it's a cute little bear," but this bear here is probably a lot bigger than that one.
Department officers, Prescott Animal Control. A lot of people responded to these 911 calls this morning. It's a bit of shock and disbelief what they found. They found that Mr. Jackson, and we believe this now from all the evidence that we've had at the scene, that there is at the scene, the witness statements that we have, that Mr. Jackson was sitting on his property in a chair and he was attacked by a bear. We do know that it was an adult male bear. There was quite a struggle. Neighbors responded. They heard him yelling, calling out for help. They responded. They tried to get the bear to stop attacking him. There was honking horns, different things that they were doing. There was no success in stopping the attack. The bear attempted to, or did actually, move Mr. Jackson down away from his, pulled him down off the hill quite a ways, maybe 75 yards, and was in the process of consuming him when one of the neighbors eventually responded with a firearm and was able to shoot and kill the bear and stop the attack. But unfortunately, Mr. Jackson was deceased at that point. So investigations like this, if you have any type of death that occurs out in the forest, that's the jurisdiction of the sheriff and the local medical examiner. And we went out there and made these. We're very confident that this was a result of an attack of a bear, and we called the Arizona Game and Fish Department to come and do this investigation and really try to help us all understand, the community, the public, the people that live up there, what was driving this behavior, what may have caused this, why something like this could have happened. This is bear country. I mean, Yavapai County, you look around, it's gorgeous. We do have a lot of wildlife up here, including bears. In my personal experience as sheriff here and a lifelong resident of Yavapai County, this is exceedingly rare. In fact, I don't know that I've ever been a part of anything like this in my life. I know that I haven't. So we're trying to get answers. We're trying to get information out there. YCSO, the sheriff's office, got a lot of 911 calls this morning after people began to hear about the bear attacks. And people were afraid. There's a lot of questions about if there was other bears in the area that were aggressive. The answer to that question is no. We've had no other information that there are aggressive animals or bears in the area. We have no information at this time. Also, I want to make sure it's clear to the public, you can't shoot the bears unless they are a threat somehow to yourself or someone else. We had a lot of questions about that this morning, a lot of calls. So I just want to make sure everybody knows there's no more information that would indicate anybody was unsafe. Now, I'll take any questions before I turn it over to Arizona Game and Fish Department, and they can answer questions and make a statement about how this investigation is going to go.
Sheriff Rhodes, do we know if Stephen had any bear mace or firearm on him or at the campsite?
At this point, that the scene is still under investigation. We had not found anything like that at this time. I couldn't say that it's not there, but we haven't found it.
What advice do you have for people who frequent these woods? Or
I shouldn't be laughing.
I know a lot
Terrible.
of people already know, but what would you give to out-towners? I suppose.
Well, again, as I said earlier, these are exceedingly rare circumstances, and we haven't seen this before. You don't want people to be, to freak out, shoot bears, shoot animals. We want you to enjoy yourself, but you have to respect wildlife. You have to respect the animals that live out here, and you got to know that this is their habitat too, and they're here. Now, none of that justifies the actions of the bear here today. I mean, this is clearly just a vicious attack on somebody.
Yeah, it's, brutal. Let's do this here. So these are some, pros and cons and what to do. Bear encounters. Identify yourself by talking calmly so the bear knows you're a human. Who the hell is going to do that? Stay calm, really? And remember that most bears do not want to attack you. Pick up small children, yes. Hike and travel in groups. Make yourself look as large as possible. Do not allow the bear to access your food. You know, that's a good one. I mean, don't leave food out. Do not run. I know that one, right? Do not climb a tree. And this is, been taught probably for centuries. Be cautious if you see a female with cubs. So those are just some. Okay, so here's some, brown and grizzly bears. If you are attacked by a brown or grizzly bear, leave your pack on and play dead. I don't know if I'm doing that. And then if it's a black bear, do not play dead. Yeah, so this is, carry this, bear pepper spray. So remember, if it's a black bear, don't play dead. And if it's a brown grizzly bear, play dead. My first instinct, I don't care. I'm running, man. I'm out of there. I know they tell you not to do that, but I'm taking my chances with running. I'm not going to be playing dead. All right, so let's go back here.
I was unprovoked, is what it appears to me from what I've seen.
Is there any indication there was food in or around the area?
Yeah, guys out there probably just reading this paper,
I can't say obviously or highly likely or most likely, but that's what bears do. They're looking for food, right? So that's how they end up at people's houses.
So again, the entire scene is under investigation. I personally did not see, any reckless feeding or food or anything. I can't say that it's not there anywhere, but I did not see any of that at the scene. Still under investigation.
Do you know if Jackson's family was staying with him at all, or they
The answer.
Jackson's family, if they were talking to family of his, or were they staying there with him at the cabin?
Yes, his brother has been notified, who's out of state, who is his next of kin.
It's a black bear.
And we're in
Okay.
the process of talking to other people, so
Large
they are aware.
adult
Yes.
black bear.
Sheriff Rhodes, have you had eyes on this particular bear? Could you describe how large it was?
I will tell you, as an adult male, but I'm going to stop short of that because I'm not the biologist. But I do know as an adult male, and I do know a little something about bears. I've seen a lot of them, and it was an adult male.
Do you know if neighbors in this area had seen this bear around, had seen any aggressive anything from it before?
So I can't answer that question. We personally have not had reports that would indicate that this bear has been reported by somebody else as being a problem or a nuisance or a threat to anybody.
We've heard from some neighbors they've seen more bears since the Crooks fire. How close is this to that fire line, and is that something that's consistent with what you
The Crooks fire was 6-7 miles up the road, up on top of the mountain up here in Mount Union. And I don't know, I would not indicate that, one caused the other. The Crooks fire caused the bears to move down here. This is it's bear country. And, there's a lot of bears in the area. Prescott Basin's known for it. And so, people are seeing them.
Okay, so I want to show you this because, this is what we're dealing with here. Sorry, my computer's just really annoying right now. I mean, you can Google search this too, but this is an adult male black bear right there. And you can punch this thing, you can kick it, you can do whatever you want, but, you know, I don't really think you're going to be doing much damage to this. This is, yeah. So that's what happened.
Well, the species is black bear, but you can have a lot of different colors that are still called black bears, but this bear is in fact black.
Sheriff Rhodes, obviously it must be traumatic for the neighbors to witness what they saw. Have you heard any stories from them about just how traumatic that situation was?
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked to the neighbors and they're in shock. They knew Mr. Jackson very well. He was well liked up there. He was you know, a part of the community. He's trying to build his cabin. It's a very close lit area on top of the mountain, and I think that they're in shock and disbelief.
I know who
that they are.
didn't
They told
like
me
him. That was the bear.
You think he's been building that cabin for a while? Do you know about how long he's been staying up there and working on that?
No, I don't have an answer to that. But I'm going to ask Arizona Game and Fish to come up now, and if you don't have any other questions, make a statement and answer any questions.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darren Tucker. I'm a field supervisor with Arizona Game and Fish, based here out of the Prescott area. First of all, as an agency, we want to offer our condolences to the Jackson family for this, as Sheriff Rhodes said, for this tragedy that happened this morning. Confirming this is an adult black bear, black in color. Initial estimates, we were estimating the bear between that 6 to 10-year-old range. We will get further confirmation of that in the future. We have officers up there right now.
I think that's kind of strange that it's an older bear, but I don't know very much about bears, but I know that the juvenile bears are probably a little bit more aggressive. I don't know.
With the sheriff's office, concluding investigation of the scene, collecting the bear, everything pertinent to the situation that occurred.
By just looking at it, is it bigger than normal? Is it about average size, 300-400 pounds?
You know, bears estimating weight can be difficult, but this is a mature, a large size adult male black bear.
What's the next step in an investigation like this?
Well, we will process the bear. We will transport it to our Phoenix headquarters. Our staff there will conduct a necropsy on the animal, look at all perspectives of this, and gain any further information that we can from it.
The sheriff already talked about this a little bit, but can you expound on just how rare it is that happens to happen in this area?
Super rare. I think the last attack or fatality in Arizona was 2011. That was over in the Pine Top area, I believe. So a number of years ago. Extremely uncommon, extremely rare. Sightings or reports of bears in and around the Prescott area and other parts of the state are very common. There are the population of black bears in Arizona is very robust, lots of bears. It's not uncommon for us to get reports of them. The presence of Ring doorbells and other surveillance cameras that folks have on their houses, quite often that's accompanied, reports are accompanied by video of bears and mountain lions both. So, you know, on an annual basis, we get, I don't know the number, probably hundreds of them in around reports around the Prescott area. We have had zero reports of any kind of aggressive or threatening behavior from a bear anywhere around here, specifically in this area.
All right, so that's that. Let's get out of that. I'm going to be getting out of here soon. But I do want to shift gears a little bit here and talk about this case here, which is the Delphi case, because there was some news in this case this week. And they had a hearing this week for Mr. Richard Allen. And he's not looking all that great. So I'll play this here. Actually, I'm going to play, yeah, we'll do this one here.
Top story at 6.
Okay, so this, anybody that's been not following this. Oh, good. I don't need to do that. Okay, so these two girls were unalived by supposedly this suspect they're talking about, and he was in court, I believe, on Thursday. So let's roll the tape.
6:30, we now know when the suspect in the Delphi murder investigation will go to trial.
A judge ruling Richard Allen's trial will start in less than 7 months, coming up in January. Samantha Johnson was inside that courtroom for that announcement yesterday and was really not the only big news that came out of that long day in court.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of the trial date, there was one comment that really caught my attention from the defense in this case. One of Allen's attorneys said the longer we wait to have this trial, the longer the trial is going to be. Of course, we know, as we mentioned, the judge in this case, Francis Gull, decided on January 8th as the trial date for Richard Allen. We know that's when jury selection is scheduled to begin. And as of right now,
It's my opinion that this guy here is not cooperating with anybody. Prosecution, defense, he is basically ready to go. That's just my opinion. And the longer this goes on, he may be doing this on purpose, he may not, but regardless of that, he's probably going to be doing this the entire. So the longer this case goes on, it's not looking good for this guy.
court has allotted 3 weeks for this trial, which is scheduled for Carroll County. Now, one of the other big moments from yesterday's hearing, the Carroll County prosecutor, Nicholas McLeland, said Richard Allen made, quote, incriminating statements over the last few months while he's been in prison. He said Allen, quote, confessed 5 or 6 times to killing the girls, end quote. Now, he didn't go into any more detail, but of course, we know he's talking about Abby Williams and Libby German. Allen's attorney said they know about these alleged statements, but that they were generic. The defense also said the jury will hear all about that when the time is right. Now, most of the day yesterday, hours of testimony was all about Richard Allen's health and whether or not he should stay in this maximum security prison unit. The defense is arguing.
I mean, they can't even get to a bail hearing. There's a bail hearing that was supposed to happen. There's a suppression of evidence hearing that's supposed to happen. There's supposed to be a preliminary hearing about information prosecution has. This is, at this rate, this case is going to go on for, my opinion, this rate, 5 years or so.
Arguing that Allen's health is deteriorating in isolation, but we heard from the prison warden who told the court he would be worried about Allen's safety if he were moved to a less secure facility. We were just inches from Allen during that court yesterday. We watched him come in and out of the courthouse. He did appear weak and unsteady at times, even stumbling throughout the courtroom in a few moments. So the judge now considering both sides of this argument. She did not make a decision yesterday, but we do expect that in the coming days.
Yeah, the stumbling is probably because of the shackles, if he had shackles on, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. But if he had shackles on, I mean, it's really hard to walk in those things.
Or in the coming weeks.
And it sounds like some of this is self-inflicted, his condition. He's not eating, you said.
Yeah, the warden mentioned yesterday that he's on what they call hunger strike, which means that you've opted out essentially of 4 meals in a row. So he's been placed on that a couple of times. The warden also mentioned he had been on suicide watch a few times. Those are just a few of the new elements that we learned. As for what comes next in this case, we know there was supposed to be ballistics evidence mentioned yesterday. That's been continued, so that'll be coming up too. We also know that Judge Gull actually plans to release documents that are sealed right now. Those are expected next week, and then, of course, the trial.
It's about time because, I mean, they've had these documents and this case has been going on forever. It's about time they release something. You know, it's just, you know, gag orders are gag orders. But, I mean, at this rate, people already know anyway. So the longer you keep that stuff hidden, you know, it's.
In January.
You can tell, I mean, YouTube's already gone crazy with this whole thing. People are ready to just throw acid on this guy. It's like.
Had some big developments yesterday, but it sounds like a lot of big things to pick back up on.
All I want this to do is to go to trial, get a jury to convict this guy, and after they convict him, you can do whatever the hell you want with him. I mean, I feel like the families deserve that.
Next time that they're in court. Samantha, thank you.
And 13 News has been on top of this story since the beginning. You can find all of our past coverage, plus the latest breaking developments in the case anytime at WTHR.com/Delphi.
All right, so that's that.
Now at 5, a trial date set for Richard Allen in the murders of 2 Delphi girls, a case that's grabbed the attention of the nation and of the world. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rafael Sanchez in for Mark Mullins.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Allen is being charged in the 2017 Delphi murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Our Caitlin Kendall was inside that courtroom the entire time today.
Caitlin, the judge didn't hear testimony on key testimony on key evidence in the case today, right?
Right, Rafael and Nicole. Judge Frengel decided not to hear testimony on ruling out key ballistic evidence in this case, saying she'll hear that on another date. Now, she did set a trial date, as you mentioned. That's set for January 8th of next year. They scheduled it out for at least 3 weeks. Judge Gohl only heard testimony on the thought of moving Richard Allen to another facility today.
If this case gets heard the beginning of next year, I'll be shocked. Literally, I would be, unless he literally confesses and this doesn't go to trial, I just don't see that happening. But it's wishful thinking, I guess. I don't know.
Richard Allen walked into the Carroll County courtroom as he has every single time in a yellow jumpsuit, his arms bound to his chest, his feet shackled. But today he looked significantly different than he has. Allen appeared much thinner than before, and that was a main part of the defense's case.
I mean, I personally think this guy's guilty as sin, but I mean, that's not good enough. You got to have a trial. You got to have a jury. You got to have a jury that convicts, because, you know, people have walked on lower things before. I mean, it's, you know, I think it would be a shame if he walked, but, you know, it's due process.
Case today, saying the facility in Westfield that he's currently at is just.
But I think this guy's guilty. I just think he's absolutely.
Just not right for him, citing his mental health and physical health. They also claim that distance was a major inconvenience, and access to Allen, they say, wasn't easy. Several witnesses took to the stand today. In that questioning, it came out that Allen had allegedly made incriminating statements while in the prison about his ties to the deaths of Libby and Abby. Both the defense and prosecuting attorneys admitted to knowing about these supposed confessions, eventually stating that they have been made 5 or 6 times. The defense believes that this is due to his mental and physical state deteriorating. For those reasons, they say the statements shouldn't be considered. However, it was not made clear exactly what those statements were. When it comes to where Allen should be held, the Cass County Sheriff said that he could take him, but said that he didn't want to. The warden at the Westfield facility said the way it stands right now, he has no concern over Allen's safety.
I mean, my personal opinion, I think this guy just, the only control he has over this right now is not giving the family any closure. And this is why he's doing this. He's probably doing this self-inflicted, meaning he's not gonna give the family any justice. So they're gonna have to do something. He's doing this on purpose for sure. But that's the only control he has right now. He's a control freak. He's a piece of crap.
Now, the state did say that they don't have any problem with Richard Allen moving to another facility, but their only request is that it be held on no bond. Now, the judge said that she will take all of the matters today as when it comes to moving Richard Allen into consideration. We should hear a ruling on that in the coming days. Rafael?
Caitlin, I've attempted to talk to the family. Of course, there's a gag order in this case, so the family not talking to the media. There was mention about documents being unsealed today. Did the judge decide on that? Because as we know, those documents have been closed. The public hasn't been able to see them. We haven't been able to see them. So what happened today on the issue of those documents?
Yeah, Rafael, a lot of people have been talking about those documents that have been sealed. People just want to see what it is about this case. The judge ruled very early on this morning that she would unseal a number of those documents, including pleadings that have been submitted to the court. We should expect all of those documents that are being unsealed by midweek next week. You mentioned the gag order. The judge was sure to remind both the family, anyone involved in the case, and the lawyers that they are still under that gag order, meaning they are not allowed to talk about this case outside of what's discussed inside the courtroom. I'm live in Carroll County. Rafael?
Caitlin, we know that so well because we keep asking questions and they say no comment. Caitlin Kendall leading our coverage today from Carroll County.
This guy here is awesome. I've always liked him in this case.
Thank you so much. We'll see you tonight on the news at 6. Caitlin has many more details.
All right, there we go. So that's the Delphi, probably the most talked about case in U.S. history other than John Bonet and some other ones. But this is been going on for about 6.5 years now, and they finally got somebody in custody, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it to trial. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. It's been about a little over an hour. I did a recording a little while ago. It's 5:10 here, so I will play my outro and get out of here. Everybody have a good night and a great week.